Hey there, I am back with a deck preview for Fantasma Revenant from Thirdway Industries. My Saturday mornings growing up were spent in front of the TV taking in some of my favorite cartoons. And one of my favorites was none other than Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Each week, against the backdrop of spooky mansions or haunted amusement parks, Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy, along with their talking Great Dane Scooby, would pile into the Mystery Machine and head off to solve another crime in Coolsville. At each crime scene, they would be greeted by a colorful cast of ghosts and other supernatural beings at every turn. Invariably, the ghosts would turn out to be nothing more than an elaborate hoax, and the gang would unmask the true villains. But along the way, the mischievous ghouls would take them on a crazy adventure, trying to frighten the intrepid detectives with their whole bag of tricks. While Scooby's tormentors were never really as supernatural as they seemed, Giovanni Meroni's latest deck takes a dive into the paranormal for a look at some of the spirits of Fantasma Revenant. It's a topic that he first explored in the original Fantasma decks, which won a 2023 Portfolio 52 Deck of the Year award for the most innovative deck, recognizing the creative use of the invisible UV ink to reveal the hidden ghosts of the deck under a black light. And for the new series, the ghosts have an all-new look. They've decided it's time to add a little bit of excitement to their afterlives, and they've renovated the old haunted house with a splash of fluorescent color. So let's dive once more into their world. Now, this is a preview of a deck that is on Kickstarter now. So check out the link in the description if you like what you see here. But first, let's check it out. And today we'll be looking at the two main decks of the campaign. We have Vision here in white, and then the green Ectoplasm deck. We'll get a chance to look at both of them, but let's start off with Vision. All right, so beginning with the tuck box. This is a two-part tuck box, an inner and an outer tuck. These are these tucks here, at least the outer tucks, are printed by Bashero and Newton, best tuck box makers in the world, and they did a fantastic job on this one. It has a few unique elements to it. So first off, it's done on a white cardstock. It's a really cool texture to it. You can see the kind of pitting in here. Gives it kind of a stone-like look to it. It's a beautiful texture to it and great embossing. And then it's enhanced with this multi-layer foil effect. So this foil is done with a combination of two different foils. You have a base layer of a neon green foil, and then this wavy holographic clear foil over the top, which gives you the look of a holographic green look to it. Beautiful, bright, vibrant colors, very ethereal look against that white background, and you can see the waves of rainbow color as you tilt it in the light. Really cool artwork on this one. Very similar to the original Fantasma deck. Lots of ghosts and skulls and bones scattered around the front of the deck, and then against the backdrop of a familiar Giovanni Meroni style bit of line work in the back. Really nice, fun look to it overall. And the outer box has a little cutout here that lets you see part of the inner box inside, kind of revealing the skull off of the inner box. It's a great look to it overall, and I particularly like the texture and the embossing on this one, which I think came out really, really nice. There's the side of the box, more skulls and ghosts crawling up both sides of the deck. Bottom has your ad copy for Thirdway, of course mentions Bashero and Newton for the tuck boxes, and the cards were printed by USPCC. Top has just the pips there with the skulls on either side. And then on the back has a little preview of the back design of the cards, more beautiful twisting line work with the skulls and ghosts all around. But we'll look more at that in a second. As you open up the flap here, yet another ghost flanked by a couple of columns and a skull flanked by a couple of columns and a couple of small ghosts there, all done in that holographic neon green foil. And then little shocked ghosts on the inner flaps. And then interestingly, this isn't a sleeve, but rather it's a tuck inside of a tuck. So as you slide it open, you can pull out the smaller, kind of plainer inner tuck inside of that outer tuck. Interesting to see that. You don't see often. Usually it's just like a sleeve that it's in, but this one actually has two tucks. The second tuck, a little bit plainer in comparison. These are just done on the standard USPCC glossy tucks. You do get some nice neon inks on this one. So this one has two colors, the neon orange and the neon green, but the same design work as you turn around the tuck box. So I like the neons, but really glad that it's put inside of this even fancier tuck box on the outside. So there is your inner tuck. no interior printing or anything like that. It's just kind of a more standard tuck to get at the cards inside. So interesting look to have the double tuck, but definitely glad they have the Bashero and Newton tuck on the outside. Really is kind of the highlight. All right, but now let's check out the cards, and here's the back design. So I mentioned that the ghosts have given everything kind of a fluorescent wash, and that definitely comes into play on the back design. You get the mixture of the greens and the orange on here. Saw this one on the back of the tuck box, the twisting lines all the way around, kind of a classic bit of line work. And then the ghost skulls, you get the winged skull there as the main element. And of course, everything with the fluorescent, you're gonna wanna keep a black light handy because this one really shows up beautifully under the black light. Everything just glows incredibly well with all those neon inks that are used really heavily throughout here. USPCC, I think, does a fantastic job in particular with neon inks. Their colors are just super bright, and this deck really shows that off nicely. All right, but now on to the main deck, and we'll start off by looking at the Jokers. Of course, here with those yellows coming in, you definitely get a look of those neon colors really coming to life. So these are a quartet of picture frames. On the original decks, this is the same style that we're using on the original Fantasma decks, but on the original decks, you couldn't actually see the ghosts at all. So until you put in a black light, you wouldn't see anything on these. These, because they've been splashed with the fluorescent paint, you can now see the ghost, but because they're done in that yellow, it's kind of an ethereal, almost invisible look to it until, again, you get the black light out, and then suddenly they pop to life under the black light. And on these, you can see the different characters. Some of the ghosts in the picture frames features the Jokers. So here on the green and yellow Joker, we have a prince who's been pierced through the heart with a sword. Here's a princess who's been shot in the shoulder with an arrow as the second Joker. This one has the oranges and the yellows. There's the king who took an axe to the head. And then finally, the queen here. Love the halo and the kind of ethereal look on her face. And again, that black light really is going to help you appreciate these at a whole other level. So there are your 4 Jokers. All right, on to the aces. So here's the ace of spades. Again, more of that same line work. You get an explosion of ghosts coming out with that large spade pip and the winged skull in the center. Fantasma written underneath. It has down here the Roman numerals for 2022 when the original Fantasma design was put together. But mostly done in green and then little hits of yellow and orange. And I love that the yellow and orange are just accents on this one. Again, doesn't really show up quite as well until you get that black light, and then suddenly everything really pops nicely. Those yellows and those oranges kind of come out as stark highlights within the overall canvas. So like the eyes just suddenly pop out and glow on those skulls, for example. So very nice look to these. The other 3 aces are a little bit simpler. They do feature that fancy border with the skulls and ghosts and bones embedded in it. And then each of the spade pips just right there in the center, or the ace pips right there in the center with the halo on top. A little bit hard to see, but the pips along with the halo are done in yellow, which again gives you a cool border effect as you shine the black light on them. All right, then on to the numbers. So the number cards feature a relatively simple, in keeping with the rest of the style, that border around the outside with the spade pips in the center. Again, more ghosts and bones and skulls around. And then each of the pips is outlined in that yellow. And this is in particular where the black light, I think, creates a really cool effect, where suddenly those pips, the border on them really stands out when you get the black light on these. So it's a cool design already, but then when you get the black light on them, those pips really stand out with that border. So the spades here done in green with the little yellow accents. The diamonds done with the bright fluorescent orange. Again, still has those same yellow accents on them. And then back to green for the clubs and orange for the hearts. All right, there's your number cards, and then on to the quartz. And again, the quartz, because these ghosts, some of the ghosts of Revenant, have splashed themselves with fluorescent paint, they're going to be visible. You don't need a black light to be able to see the quartz, but black light definitely does help to kind of enhance the experience. So the story of this one, the story of Revenant, is that the each of the suits represents some of the ghosts. And in particular, each of the suits is a tribute to the ghosts and how some of them died. So the Spade Pips, for example, are the noble ghosts. And each one of these were rulers of some sort in their earthly life, but they've suffered some sort of really unusual downfall. So it might have been the result of magic, a political rival, or even just the direct hand of the supernatural that led to their death. And so you can see them here, each of them definitely in the kind of royal garb with the crowns. The style on these 2A courts, inspired by the layout of your classic courts, but definitely given all new life. And yet again, broken record, keep the black light handy as you shine it on these. Some of those details, like the halos, for example, or the wings done in yellow, will suddenly pop out with all new life as you run the black light over these. It's a hard effect, I think, to capture on video, but a really cool one once you get this one in hand. All right, then we move to the diamonds, more of the same style, but these diamonds are the ones who died in their relentless pursuit of wealth. And you'll see things like the coins splashed around them, or the champagne as she's partying the night away at some nightclub or something. But each one of the diamonds were ones who died during that pursuit of wealth. So their greed led to their demise, and even in the afterlife, they're still trying to enjoy the spoils of some of their earthly wealth. So the gems and the coins still following them into the afterlife. All right, then next up are the clubs. And the clubs were ones who all died of natural causes. So these are kind of the most boring of them. These are the ones who lived out their lives to the fullest and then died of old age in some way. So definitely not the most exciting of the bunch, but obviously you're going to encounter some of those in the afterlife as well. And then finally, we have the hearts. And the hearts are pretty much the opposite of the clubs. So where the clubs were the boring, died of old age, the hearts were the ones who had particularly violent or passionate deaths of some sort. May have been motivated by hate, may have been motivated by love, but they died very suddenly, very quickly. You can see even things like the Jack of Hearts here literally has the arrow right to the head. The orange and yellows, I don't think I've shown off the orange and yellows under the black light. I like the green and orange effect better, but that orange and yellow as well, just equally bright, vibrant, and just a really cool effect to it overall. So there's your heart pips. And that is the Fantasma Vision deck. Now, I did mention there are 2 different decks we're going to take a look at. The second one has the same cards, but an all-new tuck box. And this one is called Fantasma Ectoplasm. Now, if you're a fan of Ghostbusters back from the 80s and you remember Slimer, you'll definitely kind of get the ectoplasm theme and the color that's brought into play on this one. That bright neon green paper on this one is just a fantastic color. Now this paper, Bashir and Newton didn't actually have any paper that was this color. So they essentially created this paper using a white stock and then applying tons of green paint to give you this super deep color on this one. And I love the color of this deck. That green absolutely stands out. It brings to mind perfectly the themes of the ghosts. When I think back to my days watching Ghostbusters in the 80s, just a really cool, vibrant look to it overall. Definitely stands out on any shelf. Done with the nice embossing as well. And then this one does have that holographic foil. You can see here in the darker bits of the spade, you get that slight rainbow shimmer on these. So most of the black you see here is given that treatment of the clear holographic foil on top. And then the nice neon skull there in the center. So the yellow really pops nicely against that black and green. Same design work as you go all the way through, but that new color gives this one an entirely different feel than the Vision deck. I really, really like this one and how it turned out. Just those bright, vibrant colors really stand out nicely. Now, this one is not a 2-part tuck box. This is only a 1-part tuck box. So once you open it up inside, get a look at the interior with no interior printing or anything like that. You get at the cards inside. And like I said, the cards of this one are exactly the same as the Vision. So no difference on the cards. This is just a tuck box change when you go between Ectoplasm and Vision. But for me, I think both of them stand out. I don't know. If I had to pick a favorite, I'd say Ectoplasm with that unique color. But honestly, I think it's a fantastic pair that just goes really, really well together. If you do have these together, note because this is a 2-box tuck box construction, this one will be slightly larger than the other one. Obviously, you have to fit a tuck inside of a tuck. So the Vision one's going to be a little bit bigger than the Ectoplasm. but definitely recommend checking out both of them if you want to follow the campaign. And that is it. So if you do end up backing Fantasma, make sure to invest in a blacklight. You won't regret it. This is actually the Thirdway branded blacklight. I think I'll have some of these available as part of the campaign as well. Works really, really well on the Fantasma decks. But that is it for now. That is the look at Fantasma. Like I said, if you like this one, definitely check out the link in the description. Consider backing this one. I'll be there as a backer. Big fan of Thirdway decks, of the lore and creative ideas that go into this one. And Fantasma with its experimentations with foils of the tuck boxes and super aggressive use of the fluorescence inside, I think definitely qualifies on that front. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one, and make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.